The off-white Air Force One Sesame is going to be dropping a lot soon than everybody's expecting. We're going to get into that, and we also have to talk about more good news for the Union Jordan 1. While we already saw a restock through exclusive access today, there's actually more news we have to talk about for Union today. But even with those two big updates and many more, the most important thing we need to talk about is actually revolving around the Air Max 95 Neon. And it's got nothing to do with the shoe itself. In fact, it's got more to do what this is about to say for the future of sneaker collecting, sneaker reselling, and Nike as a company, and perhaps whether you should invest in it or not. But this particular release does say a lot. We're going to get into all that, but first, let's start with the Union Jordan 1. What do we got here? So if you didn't already see on the Endurance TikTok or some of the shorts I posted, enable notifications so you don't miss these kinds of things. I did say that there was going to be a restock for the Union Jordan 1, and that was 30 minutes before we actually saw it release, and we just saw it drop through exclusive access. I wish it would have been a more fun kind of release. You know, I was hoping they would decide to do some kind of sneakers link method, but unfortunately it was just planned for exclusive access. I was trying to keep my hopes high. Some sources were saying it was going to be a shock drop, and on the back end it looked like it was going to be a shock drop, and the reason for this is because it was a Leo. The exclusive access was actually a Leo, and normally it's a flow drop, which is just pure first come, first serve. And I think this back end data is what confused a lot of people, but it was just set as an exclusive access drop the whole time. But it was a Leo exclusive access drop that you actually had to enter for, and you just had 2 minutes to get a fair shot. So you still had to be quick on it. While it was exclusive access, you didn't have all day like oftentimes with exclusive access. So early info is still definitely important. Remember, for the best early info on both sneakers and Pokemon, join Endurance with the link in the description below. We're definitely by far the best ones doing it for both sneakers, Pokemon, and much more. But the new Union related news that we have to get into is a confirmation that yes, we are going to be getting another Union Jordan collaboration, and it's the three-way collaboration. This one is 100% confirmed now for spring of 2026 for $200, and we actually also just got some brand new photos. Obviously, you could expect these to be very, very profitable with a great margin. These should definitely outperform the Chicago pair, which is currently only about decent profit. So yeah, that's some good news. We got confirmation that we're gonna get another Union pair. There's some more colorways too, which we don't have confirmed release info as of yet. I'll have to keep you guys updated. Make sure you subscribe and enable post notifications. Now, the most important thing I wanted to discuss for today is actually revolving around the Air Max 95 Neon restock. So if you guys remember, this is a Air Max that was very, very limited, and they're reselling for quite a bit right now. This was sort of odd to initially see because Air Maxes in general don't tend to carry a lot of hype, but we saw that these were going to be very, very limited, so obviously we told everyone to go for these. And it is a very strategic decision on Nike's end to keep these very limited and to keep other shoes very limited because they're changing their overall strategy. I don't know if you guys recall, but a couple of years back in like 2019, Nike tried shifting their overall focus to direct to consumer in order to increase margins. And while this was effective in the short term, you know, they saw an increase in profits in the short term because they didn't have to split the profit with these other retailers, this was a bad long-term decision. And we see that reflected in Nike's lack of earnings growth. And the reason for this is because all these retailers, the boutiques, the corporate retailers, they're obviously not getting the same quantity of these limited, exciting shoes that they could use to their own benefit to attract customers to their own business. Think of it like this. Let's say you own a boutique and you're trying to get more traffic into your store. A perfect way to do this is if you have a raffle for a very limited shoe, let's say a Travis Scott, for example, or even these Air Max 95s, because so many people want them, you're able to attract more customers into your store and onto your website, to your social medias, all because you have this one release. Now, even if you only have a couple pairs and you're not going to make much money off that particular release, the benefit is that you got more customer attention from it. And Nike was sort of stripping that away from a lot of these other stores. And so these other boutiques and corporate retailers are also consequently not purchasing some of the other Nike product that is not limited. And this is hurting Nike's overall ability to sell a lot of these basic non-limited products, which is the bulk of their revenue. So we see this oddball release with the Air Max 95 restock at specifically JD Sports locations, and it's very unique to see, especially because it was heavily marketed too, and it's just at these select at JD locations. The reason it's worth paying attention to is because it looks like this is the approach Nike's going to be taking going forward. They learned from their mistake. They realize that they have to value the retailers more. They have to value the boutiques and their partners a lot more in order to sell more of their general products. So with all that said, they're starting to realize that their limited shoes are not just to be made profit off of, but rather they're to be used as bargaining chips. So they're able to make deals with these boutiques and other corporate retailers, and the deals would go as follows, like, hey, you're able to buy these limited Travis Scotts from us so long as you also purchase all this other product that we're struggling to sell on our own. And it ends up being a mutually beneficial situation. In the short term, Nike's losing margin on the potential product that they could easily sell themselves. Like they obviously could sell out of a Travis Scott or even these Air Maxes that were super limited, but it's a long-term decision to use them as bargaining chips so they could sell their other product. And it's clear that Nike's valuing their partnerships a lot more now, which means they're gonna need more bargaining chips. The bargaining chips being these limited sneakers. So it means you're gonna start seeing a lot of these types of releases that you wouldn't have expected to be limited to all of a sudden be very, very limited. And the reason Nike's doing this is so they could use them as bargaining chips to sell more of their product. Not only that, but they understand that in general, keeping some items very limited brings a lot of hype and demand to the overall brand name Nike. Now, full disclosure, I actually recently did invest into Nike back in April. So I am a shareholder into Nike, and I'm not suggesting to you to go out and buy it, but I think the decisions the company is making long term is very good. And if you guys would be interested in a breakdown of their financials and the potential outlook for the company, maybe that'd be something cool to do. I think it's a pretty good turnaround story. You got Elliott Hill as CEO now, and I think the future is pretty bright for them. But anyway, moving on from those, just some quick updates before getting into Off-White. We got a look at the Jordan 4 Cave Stone, and they're going to be dropping on September 6th for $215. I think this pair ended up coming out really well, and it's right on the trends with a lot of earthy tone colorways. Seeing that on a Jordan 4 is pretty cool. I'm definitely hoping to get a personal pair, and it's sort of like a poor man's Travis Scott. You know, it has that Travis Scott look to it. So I definitely can see these doing well enough for at least lunch money. Then we also got a look at the Air Max 95 Solar Red, which is dropping sometime in fall, and this could be another situation where these end up being very, very limited, and you know, they might use these like the Air Max 95s as a bargaining chip. And if that's the case, I could definitely see these doing just as well as the neon pairs, assuming they're very limited. And speaking of the neon Air Maxes, those actually might be seeing a restock in March 2026. And we also just got another look at the Travis Scott Fragment Jordan 1 Low. Obviously, these are a big deal. These are going to perform extremely well with an incredible margin. No surprises here. They're dropping on September 20th for $150. And this new look is really nice to see because it's a close-up on the quality of these, and Nike did not cut corners. You could see that the leather is definitely tumbled, the craftsmanship is on point, so pretty excited to see these drop. And lastly, before getting into Off-White, just a reminder that the Jordan 14 Ferrari drop is coming soon, specifically on June 14th, and the Nike US stock for them is currently 21,000 pairs. That is relatively low for a Jordan, so I am expecting these to be profitable. Nothing crazy, just about lunch money in large sizes, but I'm definitely excited to get a personal of these. I'm not a big fan of 14s, but I love this pair in particular. Finally for today, the Off-White Air Force 1 Sesame. We talked about it in the last video, and we talked about how you'll actually be able to get a pair regardless of what country they end up dropping in. Right now, that aspect of the release is up in the air. They were supposed to be a Qatar exclusive, then last year they were supposed to drop as a Europe exclusive. Right now, it's uncertain where they're supposed to be dropping, at least for Nike sneakers. The Off-White website release should be global, but regardless, I talked about how you could reship these still. It's obviously worth the reshipping cost, so regardless, this is a release to look forward to. But all sources were saying that these are supposed to be dropping in fall. I'm hearing that they're going to drop as early as July, which is crazy to see because July is right around the corner. It's June right now. So of course, I'll keep you guys updated as I get more information. But yeah, as of right now, it's looking like these are probably going to release a lot sooner than everybody expects. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. Remember, for early info on any kind of shock drop or any kind of release like we saw on Union today, All that early info is always posted inside of Endurance. You could join with the link in the description, and I'd encourage you to join now more than ever because Pokemon reselling has been extremely profitable. Recently, there's been a lot of really good Target and Costco restocks, especially on that Costco bundle, which is extremely profitable. I'd really encourage you to join while this is still going on because I don't think this is going to last forever. But with that said, have a great rest of your day.